Okay, good evening. My name is Jackie Kiltz, as Julia said. My son Alex just completed his freshman year here at Columbus. I was honored that Julia asked me to speak, was unsure of what I was going to say, so I had to be that annoying parent to ask her, well, what do I say? What do I talk about? And her response was very simple, yet very to the point, as I'm sure most educators are. And she said, well, share your story. So I thought, okay, now I have my assignment from Ms. Henderson. I have to properly prepare for this, so here's our story. Our journey began with Alex on December 11th, 2000, the day he was born. Little did we know that after arriving at the hospital, things would not go as we planned to welcome our new baby boy. Alex's will to fight
It took 55 seconds.
Oh my goodness. I got that right. Okay. It started during my labor, during which time he had to struggle to stay alive until the time that he would finally be delivered. About 10 hours later, Alex joined us, but he was in big trouble because he had been struggling for air so much before he was actually born. So right after Alex was born, he was having difficulty breathing and began having seizures almost immediately. So he was whisked away from us before we could really spend any time with him, and spent the first 10 days of his life in the neonatal intensive care unit. He had to be in an incubator to keep things really quiet because little noises and the alarms in the unit would really disturb him and rattle him, so they had to keep him really quiet. Not to mention, we couldn't really hold or bond with him during that time. So after numerous tests and blood work to find out the potential cause of Alex's seizures and health concerns, the doctors could only tell us that this occurred because he had a very difficult delivery. So Alex was started on seizure medication. We were sent home with a very uncertain future for Alex. During his toddler years, Alex had difficulty meeting the normal milestone markers like walking and talking and rolling over. Instead, Alex never crawled. He would scoot around on his bottom, going from place to place using his right arm, and got actually to be very quick doing that. Alex learned to walk after many hours of physical therapy at the age of 3. And talking, well, we're still working on talking. He started attending school through the early intervention program at the age of 3 and was fortunate to have some really great teachers and therapists along the way. He was able to continue his education in a mainstream setting until about halfway through 2nd grade. At the time, Alex had a really supportive teacher who was really trying to make things work, but Alex was acting out. He was starting to scream in the classroom because he was getting really frustrated. And out of respect for the other parents and the kids trying to learn, we decided that we were going to move Alex to a self-contained classroom because that's what was available in the school district where we were at. So a self-contained classroom meant he would be with peers that had similar needs to his own. Even though I knew this day was coming, I was devastated when we had to make this move and could only laugh when I was the one crying as Alex went to this new school, and it was just another school day to Alex. He was very happy and was waving and didn't have any problem with the transition. I, on the other hand, couldn't even talk about it without just losing it. As it turns out, this was just what Alex needed, and he was fortunate to have a great teacher looking out for him. Although Alex was in a more appropriate classroom setting, he had behaviors starting to surface at this point where he would bite himself, the teacher, or the teacher's aides. During this same time period, when Alex would become upset at home, he would gag himself as a way to calm himself down. And it certainly got our attention. We, along with Alex's teaching staff, really had to get creative with getting him to stop doing these things, but we managed to do it. When Alex entered middle school, the biting behaviors started to surface again, and Alex started screaming a lot more at home and when we were out in public places. As parents of a child with special needs that cannot talk to you, it takes problem solving to a whole new level. We were at our breaking point and now had another child to consider, and ended up putting Alex on medication to help control his moods, hoping that this would help ease up some of what we could only imagine was his expression of frustration out of not being able to talk to us. His first couple of years in middle school were very trying for us as parents. Alex, again,